Damn it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Zippy Engineering. So today we're going to do a quick rundown. We've put some miles on the shovel and just go over a few issues that we found that came up. I have roughly about 50 miles on it, shakedown passes. And a few things have already popped up that I needed to address. We've already taken care of some of it. There's still some other stuff that needs to be done. So yeah, I'll give you all a quick rundown and show you what's going on. Alright, so first things first, we have our fuel line running here through the middle. It was starting to chafe a little bit here on the fins. It actually had started to cut it a little bit. So I got this this DEI, this thermal braiding sleeve here to put through here. It'll help keep that heat off so we don't have any fuel issues when it's sitting there idling when it gets hot. So hopefully that'll fix that. The other thing was third gear is kind of crunchy on this. So I wasn't sure if the clutch was going all the way in, so I put another hole a little bit lower here just to get a little more clutch engagement without changing the actual pedal up here. So see, it moves pretty good there. So that was one of the issues. I haven't ridden it since, but yeah, we'll see. So from there, also we picked up this bag, this fork bag. It actually works out really well because I can put my wallet and phone and stuff in there, and don't have any issues. The one major issue that popped up was this. If you can see it, there's a little rubber mount here. That was actually gone. The stud on the other side was broke off. It may have been like that since I bought it and I just never noticed it, but luckily Harley had these in stock. They had like 8 of them, so I bought 3. So we bought that, and then the mount back here, the guy I got this from, if you notice, it has all these chrome acorn bolts or nuts all over the bike. Well, those chrome acorn nuts are all fine thread. That rubber mount is coarse thread. So he tried to force a that nut on there, and it was all boogered up. He had a bunch of washers in there to space it out, and that wasn't really working. So you can kind of see it here at the top. So this is that mount that he fucked up on the bottom. So we fixed that. So now this oil tank is it's not going anywhere. It's pretty solid mounted. So the other thing was I changed the oil. So I changed the engine oil and the transmission oil. We put some Valvoline VR1 in here, some 50 weight. So we'll see how that goes. But when I did that, I took the time to change out this line. I made the copper feed line here. So that's all tucked in there nice. I got rid of that ugly rubber. I still need to remake this little 1/4-inch vent line. I just used the ferrules that I had. I need to get new ferrules for it so I can rebend that line, because right now it doesn't fit very well. And I think it's leaking down here. It's possibly one of my oil leak issues. So speaking of oil leaks, we have a few. So as you see underneath, as they say, if there's no oil under a shovel, there's no oil in it. One issue I did find was under the cam cover is leaking a little bit for whatever reason, but it doesn't do it all the time. It only does it sometimes. So got to figure that out. But the biggest problem is this big puddle. This is coming from the transmission. So previously we had talked about, I took this transmission out and resealed the ratchet cover, the top. The gasket had been leaking, and actually the vent plug, the vent bolt was in the wrong spot, so it was kind of puking oil too. This plug here was actually leaking oil as well, but I think that main seal back here is what's leaking, which is where our main culprit is. So as you see, our chain, that was a brand new chain, and it's pretty gross right now. It has a lot of that transmission oil that gets on it, and as you see, it has made a damn mess. So I'm pretty certain I'm going to have to go back in, check out that main transmission seal for that main shaft. But other than that, there's no real big issues with it. Overall, the one main thing I gotta address is setting at stoplights. So we took a ride out to dinner. It's done this twice now. After we get it good and going, and we've been running it, if we set a stoplight and it's an extended stoplight for probably a couple minutes, I think the motor's loading up with fuel. And then you go to take off and it coughs and chokes and then it dies. So I had the bike pretty well tuned in to where I can get 1 or 2 kicks and it starts right away on a cold start. But the hot start, when it dies like that, it usually takes about 5 kicks to clear it out, and then it'll fire again. And then we take off and it's good. So mid throttle on up is good. It's at low end, it seems kind of doggy. And yeah, when we're sitting at a light and it gets hot and whatnot. But I ordered a master jet kit from S&S, so we're going to change out the intermediate jets and the main jet, because our air fuel mixture is about 4 turns out and the factory setting is like 2-ish, 2.5. So we need to put a bigger jet in this thing. So this is what our spark plugs look like. So you see our spark plugs, these are the ones that we pulled out. These have about 50 miles or so. The one on the right is from the front cylinder. It looks pretty good. It looks a little lean, but overall it looks pretty nice. It's a nice brown color. Really what you're wanting. The strap there is not clean, it's not burnt. It's got a nice color. However, the rear one, if you see, it's pretty dark. So I don't know, it looks like it might have some oil on it. This motor was rebuilt, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. I did find a the intake push rod on the rear cylinder was tight, so I adjusted that back out and I put new plugs in when I did the oil change. I haven't ridden it yet, so we'll see. I'm going to do the jet change and see what happens. But yeah, the other thing we're going to do is I think I'm going to swap these pipes out. So we have this 2-to-1. I like it, but at the same time I don't think it quite fits the bike. So we have these drag pipes here. These are 1.5-inch drag pipes I picked up from a guy local. The problem is they're not a match set. So we're going to have to do some modification. This rear pipe runs down under the transmission just like the 2-to-1 does. But the front pipe, since it's not meant for this bike, it tries to take up the same territory. The one that actually goes with this pipe runs somewhere in here, I think, if I remember from looking it up. There's part numbers on these and I looked them up. There's some cheap pipes, but we'll see how they do. We'll rejet this guy, this S&S Super E, and then we'll do these pipes and see how it goes. Another thing I did here shortly was cleaned up this the clutch release rod. If you remember before, it still had that big gnarly piece on here from where I cut that fork that was inside. So we got that all shaped nice. I do need a smaller washer. I have some metric washers. They seem to be smaller. I just need to put it on. I just haven't gotten to it. But yeah, overall it's doing pretty well. I am going to pick up some 3.5-gallon split tanks. So this tank is going to go on the wall somewhere. Really, it's too nice for this bike, and with the way it sits up, I don't really think it fits the bike. We're going to put some 3.5s, drop it down to cover this lower bar. That's kind of where we're shooting for. So it'll drop the tanks down. Then I'll be able to use the full gas tanks as well. Oh, that's another thing on the shakedown is I ran out of gas the first day out. Because as you see, it is a Sportster tank. So, but the petcock hasn't been moved. It's still way up here, so we have all this fuel in the back that isn't getting used. And I didn't really know, I don't have a gas gauge, so I didn't really know how much fuel how far we could push it, and I pushed it about 2 miles too far. So the wife had to come get me, and I had to go put some gas in it. So but we're gonna put the 3.5s. I'm gonna modify them, but they should fit down here. They're Shovelhead tanks, but with the way they're split, those 3.5s, wherever I get them, I'm gonna go pick them up this week. They show the backbone because they usually have a dash up here, but I'm gonna fill that. So they're gonna kind of fit like the WR, WX style tanks, kind of like the one Lowbrow makes, except for Lowbrows are 2.25 gallons, and they're $400. These tanks are going to cost me 120 bucks, and we will modify them to fit and do exactly as we want them to do. And in the grand scheme of it, if they don't work, we're only out $120, and it's a little bit of time. So, but you got to try it to see if it works or not. But yeah, that should for now, I think that'll do it. We still got some fine tuning to do. Whoa, one other thing that I did get the other day, this came in. So Frank out of Vicious Cycles makes resin duckies. So we have these resin duck valve stem caps. It has some glitter and stuff, but he also makes shift knobs. So I had him make me this custom shift knob of this duck, because we had that big long aluminum thing on here, and it would hit the back of my leg. So he made this duck for us that'll match, and hopefully not hit my leg so much. He was having some problems with getting the duck to show up, so he painted it yellow. But I think what we're going to do is have him make us another one and just put the duck in there with the translucent and just run how it is. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. So it's a quick rundown of all the issues we've had. You know, it was a brand new build for the most part, even though it doesn't look like it. But the guy I got it from had never had it on the road or running. So we got it on the road, we got it running. That's with any project you buy from somebody else, you're gonna have to go through and see what they did or didn't do, because quite frankly, they're not gonna tell you the full story when you buy something. And when stuff sits like this, they don't really know maybe what they missed or whatnot. The guy bought this thing in like 2015, so, and we're in 2022, so he's had it for quite a while and worked on it the whole time. So you know, things get forgotten, so on and so forth. But yeah, I think we have a really solid starting point. I'm gonna try and get these few things fixed this week, or today actually, and ride this thing all week, pending some rain, because I'm not riding this in the rain. But yeah, I think so far it's a lot of fun, and it's very promising. So thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned to see what comes up next. Take care.